Hey, Chris Lipe here, and welcome to my channel. This video is another response to a question I got from one of you viewers. One of the things I do a lot of is I make jingles, small songs for commercials that usually play on the radio, but sometimes just on the internet. And someone asked me what my process was for doing that. And I thought about it, and while not many people are going to write jingles, a lot of people are really into songwriting, basic recording, and that's really all jingles are, except there's an extra component, and that is you have to be extra catchy. You have to be extra hooky, and that's something I like to talk about a lot. So I pulled up one of my jingles that actually is running out in Portland, Oregon, I believe. So they'll get some free advertising for this. Young Electric. I went ahead and pulled that up, and we're going to take a look at that. I'm using Logic Pro, and I'm not only going to go over a little bit about the jingle mentality, but I'm also going to go over this idea of writing with a major hook first mentality. And whether you're writing jingles or whether you're writing songs, real songs, the thought process for me at least is the same. Keep it simple, keep it memorable. So I hope you have fun looking at what I do and that you can inject some of these recording ideas, songwriting ideas, hook and even guitar playing ideas into your own playing. So here's the jingle. Typically what people will ask for is a 60-second length. So I write that first, and then I'll cut it down to a 30-second length, and then I'll cut it down to a 15-second length, and then I'll cut it down to even shorter, like a stinger. But here is the sound. This was patterned off of a band called Need to Breathe, and the company requested this. They wanted something that sounded like this particular song, and so I had to write something that was in that style. And that's another thing that's really fun about this challenge of jingle writing, which you could make your own challenge. I had to write in a specific style that I wasn't necessarily that good at, so I had to get good at it really quick. Hook comes again. But I always start with the company name and then one little thing that they want to communicate. For your home and your family is what they wanted to communicate over that particular style of music. And so I get to study the way that Need to Breathe works, and vocal harmonies and layers, instrument layers, guitar, how they layer guitars, how they record guitars, how they play them, all the intricacies that make their grooves what their grooves are. So typically once I know what song I'm modeling things after, I dive right into Logic Drummer and I create the same vibe from that other song. It just has to be close. And the great thing about Logic Drummer is that you can set a groove, choose its intensity, set the fill frequency and how you want certain things to be emphasized, all within basically one window. So it's super fast. I wanted to fill there, so I broke it up. Go to the next region. That was supposed to be more intense. Next one's supposed to be slightly less intense, but with toms. So I changed from, you can see this one had the cymbal emphasis. This one is basically the same groove with the tom emphasis. No other piece of software is this easy, I think, for creating drums. This one, much more intense. Still toms. Back to cymbals, but a different, that's based on a slightly lighter cymbal feel. Then that's for the hook again. For the young electric, for your home and your family. So I go through and just in my mind, I'm thinking about, okay, I need it to flow a certain way so that I have room for the hook to be at the beginning and at the end. And I want the intensity to do this, knowing that there's going to be stuff going on in the middle. And of course, I'm writing for voiceover, but it doesn't really matter. You want to have that same mentality even if you're writing for a song. You want to be thinking about what your song, the direction that your song wants to go as an arranger, and then pre-making your drums so that you can play to that. I always play to this drum groove, and I go back and change things after I've recorded other parts. But I always like to have that intensity dialed in and the basic arrangement dialed in with my drums first. It's so helpful. Then the next thing I'll do, you'd think I'd lay down bass next. The next thing I do is actually lay down acoustic guitar. So if I solo those two, it's just a single mic'd acoustic with this guy right here. And I already had that hook in my mind while I was working on the drums. Young electric for your home and your family. And then that neat So I'm singing that before I even play the acoustic guitar. And then before I actually record it with the drums, I'm working through, what I'm going to do guitar-wise. As I'm working through the drums, I got the vocals in my mind. I'm working through all those things and kind of keeping those in the back of my mind. It's almost like my brain is playing what I think the arrangement should be as I'm working on each part. So I work out the acoustic guitar without the loop, make sure it fits without the loops, make sure it fits with my voice, and then I practice it several times and then ultimately record it. And you can see here, I've got several areas where I punch. I don't actually get the part down that well necessarily before I even start to record. I'm kind of writing as I go. So I got to hear screwed up, so I had to punch in there. There again. There again, I lost my place. Just a single acoustic guitar part. And sometimes it ends up being a guide track, and other times I end up keeping it like this, and then add other things around it. So once I have my acoustic and my drums, next thing I usually add, again with other things in mind, is the bass. So this bass I want to say this particular bass I played with a pick. I'm just following the chord progression. I'm following that straight eighth. That's what they did on the original Need to Breathe song. And so my imitation of that was sufficient here. I like to use octaves a lot in these driving bass lines. Creates a nice movement without being too busy. So these three tracks create the skeleton for my song. And again, this is whether I'm writing a jingle or whether I'm writing a demo or a rough song for anybody. It's at this point where I will then go to my fundamental rhythm electrics. So rather than soloing a bunch of stuff, I'm going to start muting a bunch of stuff. So mute the vocals for now, and here's the basic rhythm. And I doubled it. So a lot of times when I'm doubling guitars in this way, I will do, I might do some of the chords the same per take, but maybe instead of going to that F sharp, I might go on one track. So the first track might be and the second track I might do the same thing except for use different chord positions. And then instead of playing the F sharp here, you play it here. You can hear that interplay on either side. Sometimes one of the tracks is going high and sometimes one of them is going low. Creates a nice layered effect. I'm going to solo these. So you can hear one of the tracks on the double, I'm doing. I'm adding that in, and the other one, I'm simply holding the power chord. Again, it's another way to vary things up and create an arrangement that breathes instead of sounds too formulaic. And so I have the doubles that vary a little bit, and then I bring in a basic lead that works under my hook. But I won't bring that in until I have my vocals recorded. And vocals are the most fun part to me a lot of times about recording these. Here's my hook. Young electric for your home and your family. Young electric for your home and your family. Sung 3 times with one up the middle and then panned out either way. And I don't really have much on it except for I love this plugin, the Sheps Omni Channel by Waves. And I have some distortion added to it. And the vocals, I usually sing through my manly core, and I use the limiter on there in order to get a lot of compression up front, and then I'll compress it again on the way out to listen to it. And then the next section is that whoa. And then I'll sneak that hook in again. In songwriting and especially jingle writing, you want to seek, you want to have that hook wherever you possibly can. So this one was doubled. This one was quadrupled, 2 on each side, and this lets me make it feel less direct, but at the same time, sneak it in again. You know, so in this one here, where at the beginning, young electric for your home and your family, you got that center presence in the mix. Here, young electric for your home
and your family.
It's also performed slightly differently as well. And then next we have this section here.
Keeping your home and your family. We'll always do it right and do what we say. Keeping your home and your family safe. We'll always do it right and do what we say. You can count on us. You can count on us.
So intense vocal there and a harmony that really accents what's going on with the lead.
Keeping your home and your family safe.
That same distorted sound.
Right and do what we say.
And then if you listen just to the harmony,
Keeping your home and your family safe. We'll always do it right and do what we say. You can count on us. You can count on us.
so because it's in the background, there's some liberty you can take. You got to be on time and on pitch, but it's a background part.
What we say.
And then I snuck that hook in again. Right here.
Young electric. Young electric. You can count on us. You can count on us. Young electric for your home and your family.
Jingle writing, for me, I've realized through the years, and songwriting, as I've realized throughout the years, is about layering mini hooks. There's so many hooks here. There's the, oh, that'd be considered the sub hook. There's the name of the company, Young Electric. Hopefully that gets in your head, and you as a potential customer will have that in your mind forever. And then there's the things happening with the guitars, which I'm going to get to next, that reinforce and support that hook. And so if we look at the lead guitar that I do, this goes underneath the hook. Super simple thing. Hummy. That kind of real simple feel supports the vocals. It's nothing fancy.
Young electric for your home and your family.
And then the next track is just some simple octaves. With some triads. Have a little bit of a chance to do some mild lead. But really all based off of that sort of sound in the context of the track. And this stuff is all driven by the reference track. I'm being inspired by what the reference track is telling me I should play, and then playing for that track, trying to borrow as much as I can while not stealing from the track. So this lead is layered throughout, and then I revisit that hook at the very end again. And that guitar line becomes a sub hook with the vocals. you start expecting that to come in after you hear the Young Electric for your home and your family. So I hope this wasn't just an experience for you seeing how I create a small market jingle, but I also hope that you take away from it how simple it is to be inspired by another song and create something that is yours. It's so simple with the technology we have today. If you want to learn more about recording in general, be sure to click the link and join my free recording course. And remember, borrow inspiration from other places and write hooks. Layer as many hooks as you can together. Revisit ideas. Pair one idea with another idea. And then make another idea and pair this idea with that idea. Layer things together so that they're memorable. Create hooks and support with other hooks and with other layers. That makes great songs. We've seen it over and over again throughout history, and jingle writing is just one example of that. So check out my free recording course once again. Talk to you later.